everything on the white coat is all about humanity.
If I met Dr. Akhmal in 1995 and I told him that one day you'll be leading a national clinical research organization instead of working full time in a hospital, so what do you think?
About the organization is about three things: humanity, stability, and sustainability. And believe it or not, there are some good things that I actually learned in the golf course and I applied in CRM. As you divided into three space: one space for the family, one space for the work, but the other space is for yourself.
Leadership. So, do you still remember your very first patient or any patient that has changed the way you look at medicine today?
Some died in front of your eyes, and some survived. And I knew Akiva during the Quintal's time before the
Yeah.
merger of Kulia and LMS. And I have true respect to them being a contractor for the biopharma company.
Hello, everyone. This is Sayeda Shilmanawar, your host of The White Coat Dream, a podcast that is aimed at guiding aspiring healthcare professionals towards a future in medicine. In every episode, we bring you conversation with inspiring healthcare professionals who have taken different paths in medicine and they share their experiences, challenges, and the lessons that have shaped their careers. Today, I am truly honored to welcome Dr. Akhmal Yusof, the Chief Executive Officer of Clinical Research Malaysia. Dr. Akhmal's journey has taken him from caring patients as a physician to leading one of the Malaysia's foremost clinical research organizations. Along the way, he has had leadership roles in healthcare and pharmaceutical industry, while continuing to grow through executive education at institutes such as Harvard Business School. Dr. Ahmed, thank you so much for joining me today. It's truly a pleasure to have you on the White Coat Dream, and thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule for us.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
So let's start with your teenage years. When you were 15 or 16 years old, the same age as mine. So, what type of student were you? And were you always the one who wanted to become the doctor, or did life surprise you?
It's destiny actually, because there's no doctor in the family.
Mm.
So I decided that let's do this, and never realized that it's a tough work and I have to sacrifice a lot because I can see some of my classmates flew
Uh,
overseas to do engineering, accountancy, and we will have to stay back to do the to pursue the education locally.
that's really inspiring. And you have spent several years working as a medical officer before moving into leadership. So, do you still remember your very first patient or any patient that has changed the way you look at medicine today?
I do, but before that, I just want to add a bit more. After the sacrifice of have to stay back in the country to do my matriculation first year, I think I did quite well, and I was offered a scholarship to study abroad. So that was a blessing in disguise, and I'm very happy that that happened because we can see a broader picture about how people are being taught in medicine. As a result, I also have to go back a year, meaning my friends, classmates are graduated earlier than me. So after 6 years in the country to study medicine and came back to do meds to work as a medical officer, it is quite what do you call it, a challenging process, because I know that when you work in when you study in the country, speak that language all the time, the experience is different compared to those who graduate overseas. And the first posting that I had was in the fasting month in pediatrics oncology. So that is a challenging, because the first job I have to do is not only to clerk patients, but also to be able to manage to be, to draw blood from all these young patients, small veins,
Yeah.
and they are small size and has gone into so many chemotherapy, and the fact that a lot of them are in a situation where 20, 30 years ago, there's not much development in terms of medicine. And it is a distracting figure. And my first patient was AML patients. And it's not easy when you don't have that a good donor to do bone transplant. And it is very meticulous process, another twice a week of doing hiking and running. So that's how I start my day. And some died in front of your eyes, and some survived, and that builds my what do you call that perseverance to give the best for the patients. That was my first patient. Yeah,
Yeah,
tough positive.
that's really painful to hear that. And those experiences really stay with you throughout your life. Yeah.
It
S-
gives you something to learn, and
Exactly.
it's not really the children, but also the parents. How
Yeah.
do you manage that? And you see them, how valuable the children are to them when
Yeah.
they go into period of mourning and so on. And
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking, but
Yeah.
life goes on.
Yeah. So, nextly, if I met Dr. Akhmal in 1995 and I told him that one day you'll be leading a national clinical research organization instead of working full time in a hospital, so what do you think and what would you have said?
I'm laughing because it's the same question my wife posed to me, and I was laughing and said that no way I'm going to lead the department, no way I'm going to lead an organization, no way I'm going to be a CEO. It's almost impossible. At that time, I was struggling. I was thinking of doing, because of doing pediatrics in the first place, I was thinking of doing specialization in pediatrics. I was doing the program at that time, 95, 96 to 98. But unfortunately, I'm a bit, what do you call that, MCQ phobia. So I didn't get through, and I didn't do well. And I know I can do good in terms of the uh, short case and what I call that presentation, things like that. I'm okay with that. But when it comes to the MCQs, I think there is a phobia because maybe not enough of what you call that attempt on the subject, and so I decided that enough is enough. I have to move on, and the move on is about move on in terms of which direction in the private sector as a medical officer, and then after some time, what I want to be, whether to become a general practitioner, open up my own clinic. But at that time, they were mushrooming of GPs, and you have to slog maybe more than 12 hours to meet the return of investment made. So I jumped and crossed to another part of the industry, which is actually a insurance industry. To believe it or not, as a medical manager in insurance industry, learning about how to do a medical examination where people are qualified for $1 million insurance scheme and so on. So that only lasts me around 2 years before I was headhunted to lead the medical department in one of biopharma company, taking care not only medical affairs, a lot of responsibility about ethics and also clinical research. So that's where I start my journey as people who are looking at clinical research back in 2002. I was there in the biopharma company for nearly 12 years before I decided to take this offer as the CEO for clinical research. I learned a lot from the biopharma company because they not only teach me about the new medicine innovation, but they taught me about leadership, ethics, about strategic planning, about how to manage in terms of the people management, change management. So all this is encompassed with a lot of what I call short courses, and one of them is INSEAD. It's a leadership course that was offered to me during my tenure with this biopharma company. So I learned from there to learn about what's value proposition, how could we create value from the work that we do, and how can we think about the new medical marketing that actually talking about facts rather than the personal relationship. So with that kind of experience after 12 years, I move on to lead Clinical Research Malaysia. And in Clinical Research Malaysia is about how, to strategize, being the leader, how to motivate people to become better at what they do. But most important thing is to understand what is the fundamental things that we want to achieve in the organization. The fundamental things about the organization is about three things: humanity, stability, and sustainability. Humanity is bringing the clinical research that is matter to the public, to the doctors about new innovation. Stability is about making sure that we have enough doctors to do clinical research, enough manpower to be trained as a good deliverance of clinical research. Number three is about sustainability. Sustainability is how we want to make sure that this organization are able to be self-sufficient and must be self-sufficient throughout, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, even 10 years. Beyond, it needs to be pre-planned and strategized, long, short, short, medium, and long term. But the most important thing is that it must be done in a good due diligence, good code of conduct, good core values. That's what we understand in Islam, the five principles, the rukun must be clear in our heart and soul so that all these fundamental things can help us to bring us to the right path. And I'm glad that we are producing some great results.
That's really inspiring. And this is something that Gen Zs and the teenagers today need to learn, that your life really does take unexpected turns and you should explore different career paths and you'll definitely get to learn something out of it. And most importantly, your journey is really inspiring, that your hard work and like the kind of hardworking person you are. Even me and my father, Sayed Mudawarli, we are following you on LinkedIn as well. So you're like, we are really inspired by your hard work and your busy schedule. And also, I've heard about your like really a close relationship with the IQVIA company as well.
Yeah. I know Akiva during the Quintiles time before the
Yeah,
merger of Akiva and LMS, and I have true respect to them being a contractor for the biopharma
yeah,
company for clinical research and moving forward with regards to how we are at the moment. They are tough. They are, well, what do you call that, uh, um, coaxes into the prime sites, and we learned a lot from there. And then moving forward, how we want to make sure that what is the essence of each clinical trials in terms of sustaining the business. That's where I learned from them. And I think it clearly is about how we want to make sure that the timeline is well respected, the number of patients recruited well, and the quality of the study must be tip top, the one that we do, meaning there is no protocol deviation and so on. So I learned that from the IQVIA itself, where we need to come to uh, all these aspects. And because of that, we drive in terms of to deliver the clinical research with speed, reliability, and quality. So if you look at CRM website, you will find these words. One, our core value is about trust, honest, accountable, and transparent. But in delivering clinical research, it must be with speed, reliability, and quality. All these are covered in the principle of humanity, stability, and sustainability.
yeah. That's really true. And nextly, like you spent years into this career, so you still chose to study at NCN and Harvard Business School. So was there any special moment when you felt that I need to become a better leader than a better doctor?
It's always a better leader, because once you're a better leader, you will perform anything as a better person. I have not been practicing since 2002. So that is making up nearly 25 years. And if you ask me, I miss as a doctor, yes, I do. But I also understand that it compensated with the knowledge that some of my friends would not have, the knowledge of how does drug development work? What are the drug development is important to address the unmet needs? What are the numbers behind that, and how does that bring in terms of cost effective, in terms of managing patients in future, the health economics behind it, in terms of what are the quality adjusted life years with a compound that is mediocre versus superior. So these are the things that I learned from uh, the being in the biopharma company, and it helps me to actually uh, build up a new knowledge. And because of that, although I don't listen to people's heart anymore, but I do feel that I touch people's heart with the medicine that we produce, medicine that we bring in, innovation that we uh, introduce in the country that helps the patient, especially for those who has already exhausted the standard treatment. So in order to do that, I need to become a leader, to understand what is outside there as a beacon. You know what the beacon is? You know, touching the signal like in the what do you call that, the radar. We need to understand that we know what's going on internally and externally. And because of that, we can strategize and have a good architect of what the organization will be. And in that case, we know that what are the people we need for the company. And when we have the right people in the company, we must be putting in a lot of time to coach them, to make them a better person, to make them even produce better than they think they can do. That is my job as a leader.
And that's such a powerful mindset, I must say.
Thank you. I'm sure it will happen to anybody else as a leader, like your father for that matter. He's a pioneer in Pakistan in terms of driving clinical research. I can
Yeah.
understand the paramount task that he has, and I love to share my experience as well. But nothing compares to your father, which has to drive it with situation where people are ignorant about clinical research.
Yeah, he's also in this field since 2005, and we both follow you on LinkedIn as well. And we're really, really inspired by your achievements and the way you have taken Malaysia from here to here. And that's something really nice.
Thank you very much for the recognition.
And today, people know you as the CEO of Clinical Research Malaysia. But beyond that title, what does a typical day in your life actually look like?
It's very simple. I live a very simple life, balance up with a lot of physical activity. I start my day around 5 o'clock, do the prayers, read some Quran, and moving forward, breakfast is very important. But I try as much as twice a week, or even another twice a week of doing hiking and running. So that's how I start my day. And then after the meeting is over, if there is no evening meetings, I go back straight home and spend time with my wife. I'm fortunate that I live around 15 minutes away from my office. So I could go back for lunch with my wife and spend time with my wife. My daughter, I have two children. My daughter just got married and my son is working. So it's very important that I come back for lunch so that keep my wife company. But other than that, yeah, that's how we do. And we spend a lot of time together, especially if we do in weekend, we do running, we do hikings. When we go for holiday, we try to find if there is any running activities or hiking for that matter. So that is something that we enjoy. Other than that, I also enjoy a few things that probably you might be what they call that mesmerized about it. I do play golf. Spend 4 hours with friends to play golf and enjoy it. My wife would do a little bit of that, but it's not as much as I wish she could. But spending time with my friend on the golf course, it means a lot of nonsense talking with friends. It helps me as well to understand what's going on in other profession. And believe it or not, there are some good things that I actually learned in the golf course and I applied in CRM, and it works, and it works very well. I can tell you later what is it, but it helps when you are mixing with a professional from other industry, petroleum, oil and gas, manufacturing side, and that helps us to think what are their challenges in their field. For instance, like environment, what do you call that, governance, and also uh, ESG, something like that. So I learned from that as well, sustainability, environment, sustainability, and governance. So that's how we put in a lot of what you call understanding what's going on in other industry, but it also gives us areas to improve in my industry, clinical research management. How can we do this with a correct environmental friendly, uh, sustainability, and also governance? So yeah, that's pretty simple life. I spend my time a lot with my family when I'm not working. I do a lot of spiritual things as well. I do a lot of what we call as activities, sports, things like that, together with the family, together with my wife especially. But most of all, I think I boil it down to life as you divide it to three space. One space for uh, the family, one space for the work, but the other space is for yourself. What needs to be done to satisfy yourself? That's very important because often you see that work-life
Yes.
balance is family and work,
Hmm.
but what do you balance with what you need? You have to be bold, you have to be mean, to have time to yourself. And that time to yourself is very important because it reflects yourself. You have time to reflect, to stop, to look around, and probably you can go.
And I believe that this is really important for all the teenagers right now to understand that how to balance everything. Like myself, I am a content writer, and I'm also doing my O levels. So I try to balance everything, like taking out time for family, most importantly, taking out time for myself, taking out time for my studies, like well. And alongside that, I also try to take out time to write articles. Like I have published 9 articles internationally, and they're mainly about different diseases in Pakistan.
I believe people has their own niche area, and
Yeah.
you have found yourself what you are good at. I think that is good in terms of doing it better and sharpen the tool, and of course all these in a balanced way can help you in terms of becoming a rational person. Uh, Often people that I see in Gen Z is about one, they probably are finding themselves. What is their purpose? And that's where people may think that they are lost and so on without a purpose. Number two, I think often for us, Gen X is probably maybe we are a bit patient, but the impatientness of the Gen Z is good, but it can be detrimental because of the lack of the experience, the lack of the uh, thinking. in terms of the time to yourself, stop, look, and go. Often is being influenced by circle of family, circle of friends, and that creates the unnecessary pressure and wanting to move further. Let me tell you one thing. When I started, I was 1 year behind my friends in medical school who has already graduated and work. I was also 2 years or 3 years behind my friend who takes other like engineering, accountancy, everything, and they were already working. And here I am having life as a houseman, intern, uh, working like every other day calls and working in long hours with blister on your feet because of standing long time. And worst of all, being scolded not only by the consultant, by the doctors, even by the what we call as cleaner. And being a doctor at that time is the low caste in the hierarchy of the hospital. So that you have to be perseverance, and this happens. And often, if you are not patient enough, you will either drop out. And I see some nice, bright, young doctors who had enough and throw the towel, say that this is not my profession. I give up. I want to move on. I want to do something else. And, I don't know how they're going to face in the 5 years, 10 years from now, whether they're going to go back and say that if I continue as what I do as a doctor, what would I end up? And that kind of things is usually play in people's mind when they come to a crossroad. So I spoke to you about the direction, about the purpose. I spoke to you about the impatientness, and the other thing is, you have to be realistic in terms of your role model, because sometimes when you have a real model that is very successful in the content writer, in the Facebook, in the Insta, you want to be one of them, and you neglect other things in which is more important. I think that is something that you need to touch with reality. Uh, I stopped there before I making more confused. So those two things that I see in Gen Z, and for me, how to want to motivate them because they are my children, they are my son, they are my young colleagues that join it. It's about making life more interesting in the company, making life in terms of the company with a purpose, with understanding about the core value, going back to this principle will help in terms of getting people go back to the roots when they are lost. This is their moral compass. These are the things that they have to follow: trust, honest, accountable, and transparent. So when that happens, the rest is easy. So on top of that, working in CRM is not about slogging your time off all the time. There are times where we have annual dinner, gala dinner, where people put their hairs down. There is a costume party, things like that. I have to be involved as well, and make a lot of funs. But there is also something seriousness about that. There is a CEO award to be given for those who does well in terms of their activity. There is also lucky draw for them to enjoy. There's also a service award, meaning if they have completed 5 years, they get some memento from CRM. And the memento must be really, what they call that, touching their hearts. And so we do that for them. But most important, sometimes it's not about allowances, about good salary. It's about the non-monetary gratitude, giving them a clear, uh, compliments, especially now in the times of social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, things like that. I always, when I see my team, I will make sure that I comment something that positive to make them, oh, the CEO is telling this. I'm I feel honored. I feel, the CEO is actually looking at me and wanting me to be successful. So I think that helps as well.
Yeah, that's so nice. And lastly, our podcast is called The White Coat Dream. And many of our listeners dream of wearing a white coat one day. So, in your opinion, what does wearing the white coat truly represents? Like, not just as a doctor, but as a person.
Uh, I always ask that. Well, one thing, well, you feel good when you wear the white coat. You're a doctor, you're maybe training to be doctor. But to me, I think at the end of the day, it's about humanity. You need to understand that the reason why you wear this white coat is actually to provide the best care for the patients, the best answer for the questions, the best, what do you call that, care that they can give. I used to be wearing this coat, and there are times which is embarrassing to me, especially when you get so boiled down to work and you neglect those fine things that you should be focusing. Therefore, you miss something. I also feel embarrassed wearing this white coat when I cannot control myself, my anger, my what do you call that, impatientness. And because of that, patient get annoyed, they got angry, and they got, they think that we are unreasonable. Everything on the white coat is all about humanity.
That's
You
so
need
true.
to understand it. So that's it. Yeah, that's what I can say for white coat. Yeah.
That's so true. So, lastly, thank you so much, Dr. Akmal, for taking out time to share your journey and valuable lessons that you have learned throughout your career. And your story is a wonderful reminder that a career in medicine is not always a straight path. It's about staying curious, about embracing the opportunities, and continuing to learn. And to everyone that is listening, I hope today's conversation inspired you to dream big and remain open to possibilities. And remember, there are countless ways to a meaningful impact in healthcare. And we have learned a lot of lessons from you today, and most importantly, about humanity, about being kind to everyone, and about exploring different paths, and about learning every time. So, thank you so much for tuning into the White Coat Dream. I am Sayyida Aisha Munawar, and until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep chasing your white coat. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Allah Hafiz. Thank you so much.
Thank you.